We start in the press conference by Minister Hayashi. Minister, the floor is yours.
There are two points that I would like to raise from my point. Now, yesterday evening, I was just talking over telephone with newly appointed UK Secretary Cleverly of the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. I had heard the news that Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II has passed away. I would like to sincerely offer my condolence to the royal family, the UK government, and the people of the United Kingdom. Her Majesty, ever since she has been crowned in 1952, she has reigned for 70 years, the longest serving the monarch. She has played a very important role for the peace and prosperity of the world. The Anglo-Japanese relations that have been able to develop, supported by the traditionally friendly relations between the imperial family and the royal family. Her Majesty has visited Japan in 1975. She has made a great contribution to strengthening of the relationship between Japan and UK. Her Majesty has led the United Kingdom within the very turbulent times in the world. It is a great loss that Her Majesty has passed away, a great loss not only for the British people but for the whole international community. I would like to offer my sincere condolences and for the British people to overcome this sorrow. Japan will always be close by UK.
With regard to the Development Cooperation Charter that illustrates our basic policy for development cooperation, in the light of the change in the situation compared to 2015, when the Charter was first formulated, in order to update the Charter to suit the time and to implement this in an effective and strategic manner, we decided to revise this Charter. As the international situation is changing significantly, in order for Japan to respond to the expectation and the trust of the international community, and to protect fundamental values such as freedom and democracy, and to secure our own peace and prosperity, the further usage of ODA, which is an important tool for diplomacy, is essential. Against this backdrop, through this revision, we hope to clarify the role of the ODA and indicate the direction of our development cooperation going forward. Specifically, first, to strengthen international cooperation to protect international order based on universal values and to promote the ideal of free and open Indo-Pacific. Second, further promote the environment where the world and Japan can prosper. We want to further promote this environment. The third, to lead international efforts in relation to global challenges and promote human security that is suitable for the new times and the new era. So these are the points that could be construed. On these points, in order to solicit views from a very broad spectrum of stakeholders, we will be setting up an advisory panel under my instruction. The chair will be served by Professor Hiroshi Nakanishi, who is the professor with the graduate school at the University of Kyoto. Through this panel discussion of experts, by hearing views from the wide public here in Japan, toward the first half of next year, we hope to formulate the new Development Cooperation Charter. As for details, we would like to offer a press release later on. Thank you. That is all from my side.
Those of you who have questions, please raise your hand, and when you're designated, please come to the nearby microphone and identify yourself and ask your questions. From Kyodo News, please. This is Fukuda from Kyodo News. The day after tomorrow, on the 11th of September, it will be 10th anniversary since the nationalization of the Senkaku Islands. And now, in the surrounding areas of Senkaku Islands, in the contiguous waters and so forth, the Chinese coast guards are making provocations. How should government of Japan respond to this? So, if you could answer to the 2 points. That the Senkaku Islands are the inherent part of our territory of Japan. There are no doubts, historically as well as based upon the international law. And Japan has valid control over the Senkaku Islands. Ever since December of 2008, in the surrounding the seas of the Senkaku Islands, including the incidents which happened yesterday, there has been repeated intrusion by the Chinese Coast Guard, the vessels. The situation continues to be unpredictable, and we are extremely being gravely concerned on the situation. The government would like to firmly protect the territorial waters, as well as the air and the land, as well as the life and the property of our people. We will continue to calmly and resolutely respond, and we will have close collaboration with the different agencies, and to stay alert and have proper surveillance.
Outstanding heads of states and cabinet ministers from foreign and Arab countries plan to attend the state funeral of late Prime Minister Abe, including also other officials. So active funeral diplomacy would be active. Is Japan planning to hold bilateral and or trilateral summits with leaders, and what are the issues you want to discuss? Thank you.
Yes, with regard to visitors from outside Japan, for example, Vice President Harris of the United States, Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada, Prime Minister Modi of India, Prime Minister Albanese of Australia, Lee Hsien, Prime Minister of Singapore, and President Phuc of Vietnam, Prime Minister Hun Sen of Cambodia, and European Council President Mr. Michel. On top of these people, Mr. Howard, former Prime Minister of Australia, former Prime Minister Abbott, and former Prime Minister Turnbull have all indicated their intention to take part in this proceedings. We believe that at the time of the state funeral, there will be visits by many dignitaries. So from the previous day up until the day after the state funeral, we anticipate that there's going to be concentrated bilateral discussions at the leaders level as well as at the foreign ministerial level. We're not yet at a stage where we can talk about specific agenda at that time. However, we want to make sure that we succeed the diplomatic legacy left behind by former Prime Minister Mr. Abe. We want to make sure that we succeed this as the country of Japan, and to further develop the legacy. We want to make sure that we demonstrate that at the time of the funeral.
This will be the last question. Nobera-san from Asahi Shimbun. This Nobera from Asahi Shimbun. A related and follow-up question. Now, there was the review whilst the Parliament was in recess. Why the state funeral is to be conducted? The standards and criteria seems to be rather vague. Those were the points that are being made. Now, in the question and answers with the Prime Minister Kishida, would you think that the questions and doubts of the Japanese people have been further removed? At the steering committee of the Parliament, in the review during the recess, Prime Minister has made explanation as to the relevance of having the state funeral, and the government of Japan will like to continue to explain in detail. Thank you. This is the end of the press conference.